everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Ella. If you're new here, hi, welcome, and if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. Today's video is going to be all about my Invisalign journey. Now, finally done with the Invisalign. Finally, here is what my teeth are looking like. Pretty straight. I've got a lot to say on this and I don't really know where to start. I guess I'll start at the beginning. So why did I decide that I wanted to do Invisalign? I've kind of had a bit of an insecurity around my teeth since I was a child. I remember being like early teenager, asking the dentist if I could have braces, and they were like, no, you do not need braces. And I was like, oh, but I really want them. Because I always just felt like mostly my teeth were straight and good. My teeth were massive when I was a kid and I kind of grew into them. But the one thing that really always bugged me was the fact that these two teeth right next to my front two, I don't know the actual names for any of these teeth, always sat quite far behind. And that runs in my family, like we all have a similar sort of teeth like that. And it just kind of bugged me. But as I grew, I kind of grew into my teeth. And I whitened them and kind of forgot that I really wanted them doing. Like it wasn't a massive problem for me during like my later teenage years, early 20s. I remember again around 21, I was debating it, but then I didn't do it and I kind of just left it. But then as I was getting older, I realised my teeth were getting more and more wonky. Like I could really start to see the difference in my teeth compared, 5 years earlier versus now. And I felt like as my wisdom teeth were growing in, it felt like all of my teeth were becoming so much more crowded. They're really tight. It's hard to even like floss in between them. Sorry, I'm crying for no reason. And I especially started to notice it again on these two as I started doing more self-tapes. For those of you who might not know, I'm an actress, so I do spend a lot of time in front of the camera. And when that is your job and you are, very often looking at yourself, editing yourself, I would really notice my teeth. And that started kind of 2020 when I started to do a little bit more self-tapes. I was really noticing that my teeth weren't straight. Nothing major. I have before and after pictures. I've got pictures of the whole process, so I will add them in as I go. But I'm sure you can see in this photo what I mean in terms of like my teeth not looking straight. And in certain shadows and certain angles, it would actually look like I was missing teeth if there was too much shadow, and that was really bugging me. And also my bottom teeth were becoming so crowded, and I didn't really notice those ones as much as my top ones, even though technically my bottom ones were more crowded. Until I went to the dentist, and now like looking back on photos, I'm like, oh yeah, like they actually were pretty crowded. So I kind of decided just to go for it. Last year I had just recovered from lots of operations that I was having, and I was like, I'm going to invest in myself and just finally do this Invisalign thing. So I went to a new dentist, found a dentist that I liked, asked them if they thought that would be a good idea, and they said yes, kind of obviously, and I got started. So this was in March last year. Only now, like a month ago, have I completed the Invisalign. Bearing in mind, I was told that this was going to take 14 weeks. I had 14 trays for 14 weeks. They said, it might go a little bit over, you never know, but I didn't expect it to jump from like 14 weeks to almost a year's worth of treatment. That's my problem number one. It just took so much longer than it should have. So in terms of money, now Invisalign is an investment. It's a massive investment. It's the biggest investment that I've ever taken on myself. And there are other options, like there are some other companies that do invisible aligners, But I just wanted to go with what I felt was the most like reputable and the longest like serving one, you know, the one that's been around for the longest. I think Invisalign was the first one to kind of do this, and I know lots of people that have had Invisalign and that have had really good experiences with them. And with something like my teeth, I just didn't want to take any chances of having them messed up. So I went for Invisalign. It was, I think it was, like looking back, I thought it was like £3,800, but then I've just checked my bills and it looks like it was closer to £4,000. £4,000. Like, that is not cheap. And I think I didn't really think about what I was getting myself into. I mean, I kind of just had that sort of mindset of like, fuck it, let's do it, let's get them, let's invest in myself. And I didn't really like think about the fact that you were getting braces. Like, this is practically like braces. They hurt like braces, and they actually are moving teeth in your bones. Like, that is bound to hurt, and it takes quite a lot of commitment to actually stick to it as well. So I started in March, and I was originally given 14 trays. The thing is with Invisalign, you can't eat with them in, and you can't eat without brushing your teeth before you put them back in, and you can't drink anything other than water with them in, and that I found really quite difficult. I didn't really think about the fact that I snack all the time and Invisalign stopped me from doing that. You know, some might say that's a good thing. In my books, that's not a good thing. Like, I like to snack, and I also like to drink tea and just like hot drinks throughout the day. You can't have any hot drinks with them in. And so, you know, 14 weeks, I was like, okay, we can like get through that. That's no time at all. And so when you're like given the prediction of it taking 14 weeks, you're like, easy, like I can just not snack as much for 14 weeks, like that's fine. So like the first 14 weeks was pretty good at wearing them regularly. Would wear them all night, would wear them all day, and just take them out for snacks, brush my teeth, take around a little toothbrush with me. That was all fine. In the box, I did actually film some videos, but I've completely lost them. So you do get a box, you get a retainer case. I got a black one, but I did actually end up purchasing another one because I think that is really handy to have more than just one. So I would keep one at home by my toothbrush and one to take out with me when I'm taking my retainers in and out during the day. What else did you get? Some like sachets of cleaning solution, just a few for your Invisalign, which to be honest, I never really felt the need to use because I was changing my Invisalign trays every week. Different people are given different treatment styles. So my dentist suggested changing the trays every week, every Monday. And, you know, by the time that week's gone on, your teeth have moved enough in order to fit the new trays in well. But, you know, every time you change your trays, it is like getting braces tightened. So it is kind of painful for the first day or two. You know, the pain isn't crazy, but it's uncomfortable for sure. And it's a very different pain to anything that I've experienced before because I've never had my teeth moved before. So the first couple of weeks, I remember being like, what have I done? I did not think this through. But, you know, I've only got 14 weeks, so it's fine. I can do it. And then the 14 weeks went by and my teeth were looking something like this. I will show you some pictures / video right now. Just went in for a 5-minute dentist appointment so that they could see how my teeth are looking. He said the top ones are done. I can't really notice a massive difference, but maybe I've just got used to how they're looking now. I don't really feel like they're done, but I gotta trust the dentist, and hopefully it'll look different once the attachments are taken off. And the bottom ones are so crowded that he's had to sand down in between some of my teeth. Gonna see if they move any more over the next 2 weeks, and then I've got another appointment in 2 weeks' time, I think, to do some more sanding between my teeth, and then I need refiners, I think, and I'll be getting some teeth whitening done at that point as well. So that's the update. So there seemed to be a bit of a difficulty with communicating with my dentist. Like, in that video I say that it doesn't feel like my front teeth are done, and it didn't, and I said that to my dentist, and he was like, well, there's nothing more, like they're not going to be able to move anymore, so like there's no more movement in there. And the dentist actually then sends off scans to Invisalign, and Invisalign are the ones that come up with the treatment plan. The dentist is just there doing the treatment for you. So like the dentist is kind of like the messenger. And then so they took more scans. What they do is they have this, well, my dentist had this like a little machine that they put inside your mouth, and they go all around every single tooth, and it kind of 3D scans all of your teeth. That can be quite painful because they're kind of like shoving a hard like object into your gums. It's not particularly comfortable. Like, if you don't like the dentist, this might test your ability to withhandle just like getting through the dentist, because I don't mind the dentist, and even I found it at times quite uncomfortable. I'm just going to go on to some things that I wish I would have known before getting Invisalign. 1, I was told that I wouldn't need any attachments. When I was inquiring about getting Invisalign, they were like, no, you don't need them. If you don't want them, you don't have to have them. Because my problem was being on camera all the time. Although the attachments are very like subtle, you can't really see them, I still wasn't that keen on having attachments at the front of my mouth. And then I went back to get the Invisalign fitted, and he was like, oh, so you got attachments here. I was like, oh, I thought I wasn't getting any attachments. And he was like, you know, your teeth won't move the same without them. I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll get them then. But that was very different to what he had told me before agreeing to get the Invisalign. So I ended up with attachments on most of my teeth. Not my front 2 teeth, but I think every other tooth I had an attachment on. And these attachments are uncomfortable. They are sharp. So if you have your Invisalign out, it's quite uncomfortable. Just like your mouth is just uncomfortable having these sharp things. You don't have smooth teeth. You know, and again, I was like 14 weeks, that's fine. But it wasn't what I was expecting, and it wasn't what I had been told would be the case. So I was a bit like, oh, what have I done? Second thing I wish I knew was how inconvenient they can be for just eating and going about daily life. And like, if you're going on a night out and you want to be drinking wine or whatever during the night, it's like, I mean, I just ended up going a few hours without wearing them on the occasion. Especially for the first 14 weeks, I was pretty like strict with myself. But yeah, they're not convenient. They're actually like really quite annoying. Third thing I wish I knew was how painful it would be especially for the first couple of days of each new tray. Your mouth is really tight, and you can literally feel your teeth moving. I also didn't realise that I would feel like my teeth were wobbly for the first couple of weeks. I think I kind of got used to that feeling after a while, but I remember the sensation of like biting into something and feeling like I really hope my tooth doesn't fall out, because like my teeth feel wobbly. So that's another thing that, you know, could be handy to know. Another thing I wish I was explained a little bit more about was how difficult it can be to get them in and out for the first, you know, week of having them. I literally couldn't do it. So I remember like trying to take them out for the first time and being like, I literally can't take these things out. And I ended up getting one of these little tools, I'll link it down below, from Amazon. It's kind of like a little plastic thing with like a little hook that you can like hook onto your Invisalign to get them out. That I did find really helpful for the first couple of weeks of having them. I then got completely used to taking them in and out, and I didn't ever need to use those hooks again, but I do think they were good to have just for the first period of time where you're kind of getting the hang of being able to get them in and out just like with your hands. I will link those down below. And the last thing that I wish I would have known is how long it was actually going to take. 14 weeks was a lie. It was such a lie. I don't know how they predicted it would take 14 weeks. And it took close to a year for not very much movement. I didn't have really, really wonky teeth. They were like a little bit wonky, but it wasn't like a huge... I had Invisalign Lite, which they give to people whose teeth don't need moving too much, you know? So I really wasn't expecting it to take as long as it did. So I went back after the 14 weeks and I was like, I don't feel like the top teeth are done. Dentist was like, they're done. Bottom teeth we knew weren't done. They were very clearly still wonky. He ended up sanding down in between some of my teeth, and then I was waiting for some new trays. So I was waiting for these new trays for 6 weeks. 6 weeks for this new lot of trays. That is like crazy, like ridiculous. That extended my whole treatment plan by 6 weeks. Now, if you've had Invisalign, let me know. I don't know whether that's normal. I don't know whether that's my dentist's not doing a great job at like hurrying things along, or if it was because of postal delays, or honestly, I have no idea. But they ended up taking off the attachments to my top teeth because he said they're done, and also I had filming to do, so I was like, I'd prefer to not have the attachments, especially if they're done, then, you know, there's no point in having the attachments on there. To have my attachments taken off felt really nice, even though I still had them on the bottom. It just felt so nice to have smooth teeth again. Went off, did my filming, came back, waited around, what's going on, called them up, chased it, and then finally, it was after 6 weeks actually that my retainers were finally delivered to the dentist, which I just think is like really not good when you've paid £4,000 for this treatment and it's being delayed by 6 weeks. That's a long time to just not have any progress happening on your teeth. This time I got 5 retainers, 5 rounds, so 5 weeks worth of retainers, and went through all of those. Didn't have the attachments on my top teeth, although the retainers still had the attachments, which was a bit annoying. But yeah, went through that. Still, I could feel like my bottom teeth were not moving. And then I went back to my dentist and was like, my teeth, the bottom teeth don't feel like they're moving anymore. They're so crowded. Do you think you should like sand them down in the middle again? And he was like, oh, good idea. Yeah, let's do that. And I was just kind of a bit like, I wish you would have thought to do that rather than me thinking, this treatment isn't working, let me find a solution. Like, that shouldn't really be my point of call to be like suggesting things to the dentist, I don't think. It was just like he kind of hadn't even thought of that, but it was very clear that my bottom teeth weren't moving anymore. So did some more sanding down, and then, so this was after the 5 retainers, and then he sent off to Invisalign again, the 3D scan, to see what else we needed to do. He was convinced my top teeth were done. I wasn't that happy with my top teeth because I just felt like there was something that wasn't quite right. And I did say that to him, but he didn't agree. And then Invisalign came back. I mean, again, the new retainers, once again, took another 6, 7 weeks to come. So in that time, like 5, 6 or 7 weeks, I'm just making no progress using my old retainers again and again. And this is the only time that I ever felt the need to use the cleaning crystals that they gave me with the Invisalign, because the retainers are getting pretty gross after 5 weeks of wearing the same ones. They're not really supposed to be worn for that extended period of time. They're quite flimsy. Another thing, I did find that the retainers were not that amazing quality. It kind of felt like cheap, I don't know, just cheap, flimsy plastic. And there were times where, like, they had scanned a bit of my my wisdom tooth, but not all of it. So there was like an extra bit on the retainer, and I literally had to like chop it off and sand it down myself at home, just like edit my retainers so that I could bite down properly. I mean, I'm sure I could have gone back into the dentist, but I think they would have just done a similar sort of thing. So I just kind of chopped it off. That was kind of for the first set of retainers. The second set was better. And then, yeah, waited another ridiculously long amount of time for my next round of retainers to come back once again. And this time I had 8 more trays. The Invisalign team had come back to my dentist saying that certain teeth in my front needed twisting, and basically they weren't done. What did I say? I knew it. And so he was like, oh, well, now they want to put some attachments back onto my top teeth to readjust them again. So I was like, oh, I thought I'd been done with the attachments. I was like very much over it at this point. Already this whole journey had taken like triple the amount that it was supposed to take. It's triple the amount of time due to the waiting times in between each set of retainer. So I was, to be honest, like not wearing them as religiously. I was still wearing them all day, every day, but you know, I would leave them out for a little bit longer after I'd eaten. And, you know, I was just kind of like being a little bit too lax on it, which I'm sure didn't help, but I do think I was still wearing them enough. I was still wearing them enough to be able to change the retainer each week and it feel like just tight enough, but not uncomfortably tight. So finally came back, re-put the attachments on my top teeth, had the last set of my retainers, and then this was around Christmas time. I was kind of done. There was still a little bit of wonkiness in my bottom teeth, but all in all, like, I was really, really happy with how my teeth are looking. I am still really happy with how my teeth are looking, and although this video sounds quite negative, like, it isn't. I am glad that I got Invisalign. I'm just saying some of the things that I wish I would have thought about before getting them, or some of the problems that I had during this whole Invisalign journey. Lastly, I had my last set of retainers all done, my last 3D scan done, and then it was time to put on my permanent retainer, which is another thing I wasn't told about. So some people have permanent retainers when they get Invisalign, which is a permanent bar stuck to the back of your teeth. Some people just have overnight retainers. My dentist said I needed both, which seems excessive, but I don't really know how much my teeth would move if I just had one or the other. So he scanned my teeth, sent that back off to Invisalign for my overnight retainers, and then put the bars on the back of my teeth. And this is the weirdest feeling that I've had so far. Like, he was like, how does it feel? And I was just like, I don't know, because it feels like something completely foreign in my mouth. It's difficult to say, like, how it feels when you're not used to it. It just felt so bulgy and so, like, I felt like I was lisping, especially with the top one. The bottom one I have got used to now, but the top one I'm still not used to. Had it for 3.5, 4 weeks, went back to the dentist, because I'll show you a picture of mine compared to my brother's retainer. And you can tell the difference in the bulkiness of it, and I just really wasn't happy. It was just really bugging me in my mouth. Went back to the dentist. He was like, I was like, is there any way you could do like less glue on them? And also my dentist hadn't told me that he was going to be putting the retainer, the permanent retainer, like wonky in my mouth. Something that I wish there could have been more communication about, because like that's the sort of thing that will bug me as a person, having something uneven in my mouth. So like already when I first left, I was like, is it supposed to be like this? He was like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, I wish would have been told about that. And it's because if he'd put it on the other tooth, it would like affect my bite. But anyway, it just felt so bulky. So I asked if he could like make it a little bit like more like my brother's basically. And he said he can't do as little glue as my brother's got because it'll just fall off. But he sanded down some of the glue that was on there, which does feel a little bit better, but still in areas my permanent retainer is like sharp, and like on each edge it's sharp, in the middle it feels like it's come away from the tooth. And honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep this for much longer because it does my head in every single day. It's all I feel in my mouth, and I'm just like too sensitive to be feeling something uncomfortable in my mouth all the time. And I do feel like my dentist said as well, it should be enough if you can't handle the permanent retainer just to have the nighttime retainers. So I might get it removed, or when I get some money, I might go to my brother's dentist and ask them to put it on and see if it's any better. Because I know, well, my brother's dentist said it's a really hard thing to do. My dentist said it's not, but then again, like, I'm not really happy with the retainer that my dentist has put on. So, but it might just be me not being able to. A lot of people can't handle the feeling of retainers, so you know, it might just be that. And then lastly, the last little negative thing that I have to say is that then I was going to get my nighttime retainers, and they were like, okay, so with the package you've got one retainer from this cheaper like brand, or you can pay an extra £300 to get 3 Invisalign retainers, which are better quality and thicker and will last longer, and if you lose one you'll have spares. Whereas if you wait until after, apparently each of those retainers would have been £300 each. So then I paid an extra £300 on top of all of that to get my nighttime retainers, which was another thing that was not mentioned to me. So altogether I paid £4,300 for a treatment that lasted almost an entire year. But I am really happy with the results, and I am really glad that I did it. I wish it would have been a bit quicker, but you know, I would do it again to get these results with my teeth. So I'm going to put some before and after photos. And yeah, you've probably seen more photos and videos dotted throughout this video. But yeah, I'm happy with my decision to get Invisalign. I do just wonder what other people's experiences are, if they had the same amount of waiting times, because that's really the main thing that annoyed me throughout the process, was that it was all just dragged on for so long. So if you've had Invisalign, let me know if the waiting times were similar for you. But I do feel more confident in my smile now. Like, I like looking at my teeth, and I've always liked my teeth. It's just in the wonkiness. And I am really happy with the results. Which reminds me, one more thing that was included in my treatment was whitening, like gel or whatever that you can put in your in your retainer, your nighttime retainer. But my dentist didn't give me that, so I need to go back and chase that. That's just note to self, Ella, when you're editing this video, call up the dentist and chase your whitening gel. But yeah, that's my video. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate it very, very much. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.